Greetings, dear passengers. As you can very clearly see, I'm Streamlined, the engine responsible for your train of thoughts. Today, our journey calls for us to look at a charming little deer known as whataboutism. You may not have heard of the word, but I guarantee that you have seen it in action on more than a few occasions in your life, or, if you're an expert of sorts, you've even put it to use yourself. So, what exactly is it? As the word suggests, it involves the use of what about something, meaning that when person 1 is engaging person 2 in a conversation about subject A, person 2, instead of responding to subject A, replies by raising several other subjects, with sentences such as, well, what about subject B? What about subject C? What about subject D? I'll give you some real examples of whataboutism at work. In the first 2 to 3 weeks of the 2022 full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, as the free world reacts with shock and outrage at Russia's barbarism and rally in support of Ukraine, mass and social media began to get flooded with posts and comments asking, Ukraine gets all the love, but what about when America invaded Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Serbia, Panama, Grenada? The West can do it, but when Russia do it, it's bad? The French killed millions in Algeria and Vietnam, but no one bats an eye. The British killed tens of millions in India and Africa. What right do they have to call Russia out for invading other countries? And so on, and so on. See, these talks are whataboutism at its simplest, yet most effective. The free world was focusing on Ukraine, but these people have successfully diverted attention away from Ukraine and questioned the credibility and moral standings of the West by questioning why it is only Ukraine that deserves attention and sympathy when they're invading, while Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, etc. don't get any love. They have now portrayed the Ukraine-supporting Western world as utter hypocrites, so they, and everything they say, isn't worth listening to. But really, dear passengers, once you know it, whataboutism could be resolved with no more than a few simple strokes. Once you realize whataboutism is deployed with purposes being to divert attention and to discredit people, you would know better than to get bogged down by arguing the morality of Russia's invasion of Ukraine versus that of the American invasion of Iraq, because that's completely besides the point. If they wanted an honest discussion on how Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya should not be invaded, they would have started their own discussion, and, I would say, those discussions would have had quite some merit. But when it's done in response to a discussion on Ukraine, then it is clear they are applying whataboutism to divert attention and sympathy away from Ukraine when they needed it, and discredit the free world by dragging them down to the same level as the expansionist dictators. Once you know it is attention that they want, you would know better than to give them any, or, heavens forbid, question your own morals just because of their whataboutism. So, dear passengers, if anyone attempts to apply such tactics to you, just ask them this. Darling, how does the US invading Iraq make Russia invading Ukraine right? Any invasion in the modern era is equally wrong, and colonial crimes certainly deserve its own conversation. But what whataboutism is doing is muddying everything up, sowing doubt in you where you need confidence the most, and diverting attention from an issue when it needed the most. Have faith, dear passengers. Say no to whataboutism, and have confidence in supporting what is right. And that, dear passengers, brings us to the end of our journey today. Make sure to hop aboard my next train, and I'll see you all then.